Tell me the number one electrifying thing you learned in the course of writing this book.
We've been down this road before. You know, the internet, everyone thinks that it's ruining our lives and our brains and everything. And there's just so much history that says that we've been through this path before. And a few examples are when the train first came out. All these really highfalutin scientists said that our brains would explode if we went on a train over 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, actually, people thought you physically would come apart.
Would physically come apart. And we're hearing this now about the web, that, you know, spending too much time on the web, our brains just are going to make us silly and not able to interact with people and things like that.
Also, when the phonograph came out, people thought nobody would ever learn to read anymore. Why bother to learn to read if you could just listen?
There's a great line at the New York Times in 1800s when the first article about the phonograph and the telegraph came out. It says, you know, blessed be the boy that never has to learn to read again. And it's like, you know, and then there was the opening paragraph for the New York Times article about the telephone coming out was that people would never leave their homes again, and they would never go to churches and concert
isolated
halls.
So we've been technophobes forever.
I mean, I think that there are people in society that adopt and really embrace technology, and then those that, you know, which is understandable, they look at it with fear and trepidation.
Nick, what is the internet doing to my brain?
The more we stay online, the more we jump among bits of information, the more we're training our brain to be distracted.
But you examine, and you went to visit a lot of people, study the research about the changing brain and whether there was anything at all in the attention blink that really had altered fundamentally. What's the answer?
I mean, I think that, you know, when we hear all these stories about the fact that we can't multitask and things like that, I think the research actually shows that it depends what we're doing. I mean, we of course will never be able to drive and text message at the same time, but we will be able to consume, you know, if I'm watching a television show and tweeting about the same television show and also looking up on Wikipedia about that show, our brains can handle that because we're staying within the same segment and the same concept of information. But when these things diverge and they don't line up together, that's when our brains kind of get a little bit fumbled.
When you're trying to read Nick Bilton's book and
watch Diane Sawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a little bit about the next, the new.
Yes.
Even you hadn't foreseen that, of course, this will be the next thing. What was it?
The rise of hyper personalization of everything is going to be fascinating over the next 5 years. The idea that, you know, if you and I make a Google search about a pizza restaurant in New York, we're going to get completely different results in 5 years because it's going to factor in our social networks and where we live and where we've been and the time of day and all of these different things. And I think that once you start to see that apply to everything that you do, from the clothes that you buy to the cars that you drive, it's going to be pretty fascinating to see. We're
heading toward an Internet of Things, which is your sock will call to you. Your stray sock will call to you from the dryer?
Yep. Well, I mean, what you're going to start to see happen over the next few years, and you're starting to just slightly see it now, is that everything will be connected to the web. And it's almost like electricity. You know, you don't think about the fact that your alarm clock and your light bulb and everything is plugged into this grid, and the same thing is going to happen to the clothes that you wear and the cars that you drive. And a lot of cars are now getting internet connections. And so they could say, hey, we know you need an oil change. Let me look at your calendar on your phone because it's in the car, and set up an appointment with the guy that you went to last time. And I think that what you're going to start to see is that you know, your socks will be able to let you know, like, when one is missing behind the dryer or something like that.
It's such a mournful idea. All these stray socks start calling all day long.
Calling, trying to find their other sock. So one of the things I did with the book is there's these little semicodes, right? And you can download an application for your phone. You take a picture of the code, and it actually takes you off to a mobile site. So you can interact with the book. So there's videos that I've shot. There's all the links I talk about in the book. And then you actually have an ability to comment, like it's a blog post or something like that.
Right.
So I'm trying to, you know, make people engage and have a conversation.
Right.
So it's trying to make the paper product more interactive and try to engage the reader in a different way beyond just the printed page.
It's fantastic.
Thank you very much.